On the news tonight, National Executive Council meets amid fuel price hike and economic anxieties. APC governor says federal government working to address hardship faced by Nigerians. And NNPCL monopoly ends as private firm imports 27 million litres of petrol. Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Folashade Ogrinde. Nigeria's highest economic advisory body, the National Economic Council, has met at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Thursday's meeting comes 48 hours after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited reviewed the petrol pump price from 540 naira per litre to 670 naira per litre, the second major increase since the discontinuance of petrol subsidy on May the 29th by President Bola Tinubu. The meeting, which is being chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, has in attendance governors of the 36 states of the Federation, the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum, as well as stakeholders from the World Bank and other agencies of government. The Council deliberated on the reviewed palliative package for Nigerians, as well as received recommendations to mitigate the effects of the removal of the petrol subsidy on workers, including a proposed living wage adjustment estimated at 702.9 billion naira in allowances. The Progressives Governors Forum has assured Nigerians that it is working with the federal government to address the current economic hardship in the country following the removal of fuel subsidy and the increase in petroleum pump prices. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and chair of the forum made this note while addressing journalists at the end of its closed-door meeting, which ended last Wednesday night in Abuja. Uzodinma would describe the meeting as successful, further assured that the governors would effectively utilize their federal location in the best interest of the people. An independent marketer, Emadeb Energy Services Limited, has imported about 27 million litres of petrol into the country, putting an end to a downstream monopoly market once enjoyed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Speaking at the company's jetty in Lagos on Wednesday, Adebowale Olujimi, the chief executive officer of the company, said the company and its 5 bank partners paid over $17 million to hire just the vessel. Olujimi, who was on hand to receive the vessel ST Inene when it was berthed at Emadeb Jetty in Ijegun, Egba area of Lagos, said petrol importation was no longer sustainable. According to him, the federal government must find a way to revive Nigerian refineries. Or to speak more on this development, Alex Ney, oil and gas expert, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. What's the difference, or the significance rather, of the end of NNPCL's monopoly on crude oil importation?
Well, I think the NNPC, they screwed up the industry completely, because with them having the refineries down, they have the refineries, left it to die out, then they turned themselves into a monopoly whereby they import and export. In addition, they take crude out with the hope of refining and bringing. All kinds of unscrupulous manipulation has led to all this mess. But right now, it is a free enterprise system whereby everybody is now free to import PMS.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Well, it appears we've lost Alex Ney there, but we hopefully would join him later again in the news bulletin. Well, moving on now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says it will take action against members of trade associations who engage in indiscriminate hikes in the price of basic food items. Babatunde Irukera, Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, made this known on Tuesday at a forum organized by the Commission to discuss fair food prices. Irukera said the federal government would ensure there is no room for anti-competitive practices and irrational hikes in food prices.
As we proceed against the multinationals in their trade associations, we will proceed against even the small guys in the market, because what is most important is these things, no matter how short supply they are, whatever those supplies are, must still be available. For us, the key thing is correction. Because in managing the sanctions regime, you also want to make sure that the sanctions do not add to costs that ultimately end up in the pocketbook of consumers. And so it's going to be a mixed match of sanctions, but much more corrective measures. The government continues to open its special reserves to make sure that there's fertilizer and grains for consumption. But we're not addressing the middlemen, the commodity traders who have bought some of these commodities and are hoarding them. And they're working on association platforms and all of that. We must address that also.
About 25 million Nigerians currently are food insecure because of lack of access to safe food. And this is very worrying because that is a very high percentage of the population. And we think that if we come in this space and support the consumers to be able to engage the government, to be able to engage the business people with the right evidence, then we can make the change that is needed to bring about the cost of food down.
You're giving somebody 8,000 naira a month to do what with? Rather, why don't you put that money on building the infrastructure from the Benue into Lagos or into Onitsha or into Port Harcourt, and build the road so that transportation will not take 3 days, something that should take a day. You said you have 8,000 naira to give 12 million people, or how many million it is. How did you arrive at that number?
The Center for Citizens with Disabilities has organized a 2-day capacity building workshop on equal voting access for people with disabilities. In a presentation which was held on Wednesday in Lagos, the organizers of the event say it is concerning that materials procured for PWDs were not readily available during the just concluded 2023 elections. As a solution, the group advocates inclusive electioneering process for PWDs in Lagos. Our correspondent, Simisola Adigun, has more details in this report.
Despite having a large population size of people with disabilities, social, economic and political inclusiveness in Nigeria continues to be a challenge. According to an SBM intelligence report, PWDs had inadequate aids during the 2023 elections, as only 22.26% had assistive aids, while 38.05% could not access voter education initiatives. Concerned by this trend, stakeholders at this 2-day capacity building workshop for inclusion of PWDs on their right to vote say that they are building up plans to ensure that they are not left out in subsequent elections in Lagos State.
The workshop today is of high interest to us in Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, because even as the Electoral Act says, Section 54 of 2022, that the people with disabilities would need to take them into consideration in any of the elections that we want to conduct, even if it involves even engaging ad hoc staff. It also says that at least 5% of ad hoc staff should also be people with disabilities.
The founder of the group reiterated that persons with disabilities and special needs should be assisted at polling units with provision of suitable means of communication such as braille, large embossed print, electronic devices, sign language interpretation, or off-site voting in appropriate cases.
INEC is particularly interested in partnering with stakeholders so that we create access, inclusion for all persons in the electoral process. So the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, they work in regards to creating access for persons with disabilities, which is one of the key areas that INEC focuses on.
What we need in future election is access to polling units. What we need include access to assistive devices. In particular, we need awareness creation on the rights of persons with disabilities to vote on equal basis with other people. We are looking at a situation where ad hoc staff understand and appreciate what equal voting access means. If we are not able to secure ad hoc staff, if INEC is not able to strengthen the response of ad hoc staff to PW's participation in the electoral process, we may struggle much more.
The organizers of the event further called on the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, LASIEC, to help promote PWD's advocacy and also include them in their legal framework as regards social and political participation at both local and state government levels. Simisola Adigun, TV 360, Lagos.
Well, still on political advocacy, stakeholders in Nigeria's political space have called for the devolution of power to foster socio-economic development in the country. I mean that centralization of governors is a product of the military. This call was made at the 5th annual lecture of a news platform, Freedom Online, in Lagos. Speaking at the event, the publisher of the online platform, Akinadewo Gabriel, maintained that centralization of national resources has not promoted productivity in the country. On his part, elder statesman Olabode Judge took a swipe on politicians, saying that they have failed the country.
As we build up to the elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi, I wish to make this passionate appeal to all political actors. Let us empower the voices of our younger generation. They should not be pawns to be used in political games.
Even for the leaders to effectively communicate with Nigerians, to permeate to the grassroots, it becomes difficult. So there is a communication gap. But he arrived at the conclusion that in spite of that, there is one common language that every Nigerian understands in terms of the expectation, and that common language is good governance.
Intelligence-driven police force, working with security bodies at the state level, we ensure insecurity becomes history in Nigeria. So clearly, Nigerians want state police between now and 2027. With enabling laws, state governments have the capacity to ensure the development of this country.
A situation where a city senator collects 23 million naira every month, a retired permanent secretary collects 1 million naira every month as pension, and a retired military general collects 250,000 naira as pension per month is despicable, shambolic, nonsensical, and outright systemic failure. How will the palliatives be distributed? A quick reminder of the 500 billion previously collected monthly and supposedly distributed without data or accountability calls for an in-depth investigation and punishment.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has engaged media and public stakeholders on the need to participate in governance in the country. Speaking during a town hall meeting tagged Promoting Citizens' Participation in Governance and Protection of Dissent, organizers say the purpose of the interaction with stakeholders and media is to court the bridge between those occupying political offices and the grassroots. According to them, this will help strengthen participation of citizens in governance across constituencies, thereby improving political commitment, accountability, and development.
These kind of advocacy initiatives and whatever lessons, or call it capacity building exercise, that have been imbibed here, trickles down to members of their communities. These are community leaders. They represent various aspects of citizen groups in Nigeria. So the aim is not only for them to have learned today, but to also galvanize members of their communities to understand what their right is and how they can legally and effectively advocate to government for good governance.
There has been a kind of class divide, in Nigeria, where it always feels like it's the elite against the masses. Well, in recent times, we're beginning to see that there are some things that are levelers, and at the end of the day, whether you're upper class, middle class, or lower class, we're all still Nigerians. So it's necessary, to just forget about all those divides, take action that cuts across those divides, because it's when we speak with one voice, with a united voice, that the government at any level will take us seriously.
Most of us were at fault. You see, when you talk to them rudely, they will run away from you. Like my own councillor, I told you must live in my community, which he does. Even when he was about going to Mecca, he came to tell me that he's traveling out. And when he came back, he told me he's back. It is our duty to move together with them, to let them know their responsibilities. But at times when you just talk very rashly, they will run away from you.
Everybody in the country, we all have a say. But the current situation of this country and the past situation has not encouraged us as citizens to actually say, because when we talk, at the end of the day, nobody listens to what we are saying. So this has actually discouraged me from actually saying things further. So most times I just sit at home and not actually do anything, because I know if I talk, nobody's going to listen.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. New Zealand beats Norway in opening game of Women's World Cup. We'll bring you details of this story and more right after this break. Welcome back to News Now. A recap now of some of our top stories tonight. Nigeria's highest economic advisory body, the National Economic Council, has met at the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja. Thursday's meeting comes 48 hours after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited reviewed the petrol pump price from 540 naira per litre to 670 naira per litre, the second major increase since the discontinuance of petrol subsidy on May 29th by President Bola Tinubu. We also told you that the Progressives Governors Forum has assured Nigerians that it is working with the federal government to address the current economic hardship in the country following the removal of fuel subsidy and the increase in petroleum pump prices. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and chair of the forum also assured that the governors would effectively utilize their federal allocation in the best interest of the people. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin, for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. Welcome back. Simi Saladi going on standby to bring us up to speed on the latest in the world of business. Simi, what's the latest?
Thank you very much, Folashade. Welcome to Business News. The House of Representatives has rejected a possible increase
in electricity tariffs. During plenary on Thursday, the Green Chamber questioned the need for additional cost at a time when citizens are still grappling with the impact of the petrol price hike. The House therefore resolved that a yet-to-be-constituted power committee will be established to find a common ground with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to ensure that current economic circumstances are taken into consideration and the proposed electricity tariff hike is brought to a halt. The Nigeria Customer Service Index has organized a media parley on customer service relations in Nigeria. The discussion aimed at enhancing customer satisfaction in all sectors across the country. Speaking at the event, which was held in Lagos, the Director of Media and Communication, Nigeria Customer Service Index, Jennifer Orode, says the Commission is the first multi-sector feedback platform for Nigerian customers to assess service quality across industries, providing them with the opportunity to voice their opinions and contribute to improving service standards in Nigeria. She further expressed the NCSI's commitment to helping customers and brands get their voices heard across the formal and informal sectors.
We are here today to give customers their voices. So it's no longer a conversation of making customers transactional necessities. No, we need to change the culture. It has to be, customers need to be and own their place as strategic priority. That's why we're here today, and that's what this whole event is about.
For us, customers are super important, and we take our customer experience really seriously. Usually we have a very good experience with our customers, but whenever there is a feedback or complaint, we take it very seriously, knowing that the essence of relating with the customers is to increase that level of trust that already exists, to maintain that trust and not betrayed, and to ensure that we're meeting the customer at the point of his need.
Different organizations are beginning to see the importance of service at a particular level, therefore putting in a lot more resources, personnel, and strategies around crafting how service is in Nigeria. Unfortunately, the other sector, which is not rated, the informal sector, doesn't have that. So I give you a typical example. If you go to Balogun to buy something and you haggle price with the seller, the likelihood that you'll get cursed is there. And that's not the service we're looking for. We're looking to see how the informal sector and the formal sector can drive service at a particular level where everyone sees the next person who is doing business with actually as a human first, then as a buyer.
Let's take a short break here, but stay with us for Stock Market Report. It's another bullish end of trade on Thursday as investors recouped losses of previous trading day. The benchmark all-share index climbed 0.27% to close at 63,930 basis points. And with Thursday's trading ending strong with 42 gainers against 21 losers, University Press leads the advancers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at ₦2.42 per share, followed by Unicel Interlinked PLC. Now, Thursday's data shows a 187% improvement in volume, 79% improvement in turnover, but 3% decline in deals. So far, investors are optimistic that the second half of 2023 will be more rewarding. Let's now switch to our select foreign stocks. The FTSE 100 index bounced back on positive UK inflation news on Thursday. The US Dow Jones showed further strength as seen in its index over the week so far. Japan's stock Nikkei, however, ended bearish as losses in the transportation, equipment, fishery and food sectors led shares lower by 1.23%. That's the stock market report. Folashade, back to you.
And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogrinde. Bye for now.